Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm DarkJack and I just got done playing some Destiny Alpha on the PS4. And so I'd like to thank Bungie and PlayStation for sending me an alpha code. And remember, this is the alpha version of Destiny. The beta is going to come out next month, and after that will be the final retail release. And so the game is still a work in progress. And so my criticisms of the game and my praises of it might change by the time the final game comes out. Now, after playing the alpha for around an hour and a half, I would say that overall, it was an enjoyable experience, but I was a little underwhelmed. And so the game is not bad so far, but it's not great. It's good, but not great. And the combat system needs a lot of polish before release in order for it to be a great game. Now, in the alpha of Destiny, you had 3 parts to it. You have the one story mission you can play. You have patrols that you can go on, which is what I'm going to be doing in the second part of this video. And when you go on patrols, you complete missions. You collect items, you do fetch quests, you kill bosses, you go to certain areas, and then you also have competitive multiplayer, where you play against other players. And I'll have a video on that tomorrow. Now, going into the alpha of Destiny, I thought the game would be like a mixture between the first Borderlands game and Halo Reach Firefight. And I thought it also would incorporate elements of Skyrim, because it's a very large area, and there are multiple planets you can go to, and many different areas you can visit. Now, it is similar in some ways to Borderlands, because you collect loot and armor and weapons. It's similar in some ways to Halo Reach Firefight. Certainly, the combat is similar to Halo, and it's also similar to Skyrim in some ways, but overall, it's not like any of those games. It's its own thing. It's not like Borderlands at all. It's as if Destiny is Borderlands that took itself too seriously. Because before Borderlands got the shell-shaded decision that they went finally, they were going to make it look like real life, and that's kind of how Destiny is now. It's a very serious version of Borderlands, without the heart and the character of Borderlands. And so overall, I would say that Destiny is most similar to the game called Warframe. And if you played Warframe before, you'll understand the comparisons that I'm going to make. Now, Warframe is a free-to-play game, unlike Destiny, which is a retail game. And in Warframe, it's told from a third-person perspective, whereas with Destiny, it's from a first-person perspective. And with Destiny, there's a lot more polish and color and better graphics than Warframe, certainly. And there's also competitive multiplayer. But the combat is very similar to Warframe. You move toward your enemy, you take them out with your weapons, and there are many different weapons to choose from. And as you level up, in an MMO style, you gain better weapons and better armor. And there are elements of Borderlands and Skyrim certainly here, but at its heart, Destiny is definitely an MMO. It is not a typical first-person shooter or an open-world game. It's an MMO where you travel to different planets, just like in Warframe, but the environments you explore are much larger. And just like an MMO, you have a central hub, which is the city that you go to, where you exchange your glimmer, which is the currency in this game, for armor and weapons. And it's very similar to DC Universe Online, if you played that game. Destiny is much more similar to Warframe and DC Universe Online than it is to any other game. Because, in one sense, Destiny feels like a free-to-play game. Destiny is very much a free-to-play game, but not necessarily in a bad way. And my guess is that in the future there is going to be a money shop with microtransactions where you can buy Glimmer and then use the Glimmer to buy items. Because remember, Activision is spending $500 million on this game. So as a result, they have to have a way to make their money back. And I think that microtransactions are going to be a part of this game. Because you have all the elements of a free-to-play game here. You've got an in-game currency. You've got items that you can buy with the Glimmer. You've got weapons you can buy. You can upgrade your Guardian. You can buy customizations for them. You can upgrade your Sparrow, which is the in-game vehicle you can drive. And as you play, you earn loot, armor, glimmer, items, you complete side quests, and then you return to the city to exchange what you've gotten for better gear. And like an MMO, the enemies that you kill respawn very quickly. After you kill an enemy, they're going to respawn because you're playing with lots of other people. Now, when I played it by myself, there wasn't anybody with me. And I imagine when you play it with lots of other people, it's going to be much more fun. Now, the combat system, for it, the headshots do extra damage. So when you're shooting enemies, you always want to aim for the head, because that will kill them much faster. Just like in the Halo series when you killed an enemy with a headshot. And you have three weapon slots. You have your normal weapon, you have your special weapon, like a shotgun or a sniper, and then you have your heavy weapon, like a rocket launcher. Now in the game, there are several jump scares where the game will take you by surprise. And so in one area I was walking and then a light turned on and it made a strange sound to try to scare you. In another area, when you walk through a doorway, there's an enemy that drops down right in front of you. And there are lots of neat little touches in the game, like when you're walking through a corridor, a light will turn on over your head, and then the controller light bar will light up to reflect the change in your environment. Now, in the combat system itself, this game would benefit greatly from being at 60 frames per second, because Destiny runs at 30 frames per second. I think it would really help it if it was much higher. And I wish they would give the option to players to be able to adjust your frame rate and resolution, to be able to trade a lower resolution for a higher frame rate. And going from PC and playing games at 60 frames per second to go to Destiny at 30, it was a pretty big shock. And being cross-gen, I can tell is hurting this game. If this game was not cross-gen, then it could definitely be better, and it could possibly be at 60 frames per second. Now I noticed that when you sprint in this game, the sensitivity is too low. And so when you're sprinting and you want to change directions, you have to stop sprinting, and you have to then reposition yourself and sprint again. Unlike in Call of Duty, which has a more fluid movement system, where you can sprint everywhere without having to stop to change directions. And this game definitely is designed to be played with others, because it can get boring fast if you're playing by yourself, like I am here. And I think in Destiny there is a danger of trying to do too many things at once. I think that Destiny can be great or good at everything, but I don't think it's excellent in any one area, except for visuals. Now, graphically, the game looks very good. It has a lot of beautiful vistas, but it's not as good looking as Killzone Shadowfall or Infamous Second Son, which are not cross-gen games. And so it's certainly better looking than Call of Duty Ghosts, but it's not as good looking as games that are console exclusive to the PS4. And in some ways, this game reminded me of Halo in the combat system, where you have to go behind cover to recharge your shields and then pop back out. But it's much more like Warframe and DC Universe Online, but with a first-person shooter shell. And when you're shooting, aim down sight is very necessary. You have to use aim down sight because hipfire is not very accurate. But this game does stay true to the basic Halo formula of shooting at enemies, going behind cover to regain your shields, and then popping back out. Now, the voice acting of Peter Dinklage, who is the voice of the Ghost, is not very good, in my opinion. The monotone voice of the Ghost does not fit well with this game. I think they need to find a new voice actor to do his lines. Now, the music of the game overall is pretty good. You can tell it's Marty's work before they fired him. And the music overall and the sound effects are pretty nice. Now, the levels themselves in the game, when you play them, they create the illusion that the area that you're playing in is much bigger than it actually is. And you'll see what I mean by the end of the video, where you can see an invisible wall. And there are lots of invisible walls in this game. So overall, I'd say Destiny from the alpha is a good game, but it's not a great game. And I'll have another video later on talking about the multiplayer. And I'll see you guys later.